Hey there, Starshines. Tangent Spinner here, Spinner of Tangents and Rants and Random. So I know I said I would post this video directly after the other one yesterday. Truth is, I went to my sister's house and we were supposed to go swimming with my mom, but instead of swimming, we just stayed inside all day watching really old Bonnie and Clyde movies, and including one with Gene Wilder in it. And man, he was young and he was chubby, and it was way before his Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because goddamn, he lost weight when he got a candy factory. But yeah, no, we were watching Bonnie and Clyde videos. I was using my sister's Wi-Fi to watch Team 4-Star play video Pokemon Nuzlocke. Guilty, but yeah, no. So I'm here with WebMage. We're doing part 1 of chapter 8. So we left off. He'd managed to explain to Cerise what all the fuck was happening. He was still grounded. Hypocrisy abound in their relationship. He was still dealing with death. I want to say death threats, but they're not really threats. Assassination attempts. That's the proper word. But yeah, no. So we're on chapter 8. We are about fourth of the way through the book. So yeah, let's get started then. Chapter 8. Somehow I survived until January break and the end of the semester. That gave me a full month off before classes started again, and since Lachesis had reinstated my IMWED privileges when my grades came in, the freedom to do something with the time. I would have liked nothing more than to spend it with Cerise, whose place in my heart seemed to grow in proportion to her absence in my life. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Ha ha ha. But likes must make way for needs, and I really needed to see if I could do something about Atropos and Puppeteer. If I could also find a way to pull my own personal bacon out of the fire without burning my 9 remaining fingertips and exact some small revenge on the darkest of the fates into the bargain, I'd be halfway to a seat on Olympus as the patron god of hackers. I wonder if there's a patron god of hackers, because I mean, with how the way technology is going nowadays, we should have like a hacker god or a computer god, something like that. Probably just be Hermes. Fuck yeah, go Hermes. Anyways, one side benefit to being nailed to the floor for half a semester was that I'd had plenty of time to think. No, don't hurt yourself. I knew that my many times great aunt would have increased security significantly since my last visit to Chez Atropos. And that none of I'm sorry, it's just Merlin's under the blanket and he's just wiggling slowly closer as I've been talking. I got your nose. Sorry. Chez Atropos. And then none of the hacks that had worked in the past were likely to do me a lick of good. But after much thought, I'd finally Hey Murray. Hi Murray. Come here. Yeah. You just slowly crawled and slid behind me. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. So none of the hacks that had worked in the past were likely to do me a lick of good. But after much thought, I'd finally come up with an approach that might get me in. Better still, I had some clue as to what to do once I got there, at least as a first step. A bit of computerized life insurance. All of which put me where I was at present. Okay. The dirt road was poorly plowed, and my borrowed Econoline van almost went into the ditch a couple of times before I got to the state park's lot. I left the van running while I crawled into the back and put on a pair of heavy black tights, a turtleneck, and a sweater and a windbreaker. Thick wool socks and a pair of ski boots came next. I slid my arms into the straps of the mountain pack, holding the rest of my gear, then turned off the van and reluctantly got out. It was 4 below, and the wind felt like razors scraping painfully across my face. My bad knee complained, but there was no other way to get where I needed to go, so I ignored it. When I stepped into the bindings of my cross-country skis, they squeaked from the cold. I wanted to do the same, despite the fleece mask, goggles, and gloves I had added to my outfit. Instead, I picked up my custom poles and got moving. God, I can't ski. I can't even walk, let alone freaking try to balance on a thin stick going down. That's the likelihood of breaking your fucking ankles if you just fall over is too big. Anyways, There was no wind in the woods, and the snow was a perfect coat of light powder on top of an icy crust. I made good time, and soon warmed up enough to enjoy the scenery. Late morning sun struck rainbow sparks off the jumbled surfaces of the loosely drifting snowflakes, filling the air with dancing color. A thin layer of this frozen fairy dust decorated every branch, and the pines looked like miniature ice pagodas, where tiny Japanese web pixies might live. It was almost enough to make me forget that the weather would kill me given half a chance. The faint corduroy noise of my skis and the crunch of my poles broke through the crust faint crunch as my poles broke through the crust were the only sounds, both quickly swallowed by the silence of a pine forest in winter. Pause real quick and get the next one. That way I don't cut out in the middle of the sentence like it has been doing because my phone's a fucking dick. Anyway, give me a sec. Boop, okay. After about an hour, a wide gap between the trees opened to my left where another path turned off. It hadn't been groomed, and the long line of pristine snow stretching between the pines was starkly pretty. I slid off the main trail and slipped my backpack off. Melchior, in laptop form, was tucked into the top. I flipped his lid and typed in a spell prompt. Run, Melchior. Execute. But it's cold out there, Ravern. I didn't ask for editorials. Oh, all right, but I'm not going to like this. In a matter of moments, he was standing and shivering atop my pack. Sorry. What do you want? A GPS fix. I want to know if this is our turn. For that, you had to turn me back into a goblin? A simple typed request would have worked fine, and this weather is much nicer if you don't have any nerve endings to freeze. Deal with it, Mel. If this is the place, I'll want you to hide my tracks. Oh, great, he said. What could possibly be more fun than slogging through neck-deep snow while brushing out ski tracks? When do I get to start? You tell me. Where are we? His face went abstract for a few seconds as he queried the GPS satellite system. Then he let out a little martyred sigh. He tried to maintain an air of injured dignity as he hopped down, but the snow was deeper than he was tall, and with only the faintest of crunches, he went through the icy underlayer. He dropped completely from sight. A moment later, his face fixed in a scowl, he pulled himself out onto the crest. Making his way to the base of a fir, he tore a branch free to use as a broom. So, tell me again why we have to come out here to commit suicide? He said once we'd gotten far enough off the main trail that he could drop the cover up and climb up into the pack again. We're not committing suicide. How do you figure? He asked. We're messing around with the fate core. If Atropos catches us, your grandmother will hand her the scissors. We won't get caught, I reassured him. I have it all planned. We'll slide in, insert Revenant into the core, and slide out. It'll be a surgical strike, strict 30 minutes from start to finish, tops. Short-term scary, but it'll seriously increase our long-term odds of survival. I wasn't anywhere near that confident. The fate core is at the center of everything my family is. If Atropos hadn't driven me to it, I'd never have considered messing with it. Who do you think you're kidding? Asked Melchior. Revenant is just a fancy dead man switch. It might make Atropos' life miserable after you're gone, but it won't do a thing to keep you alive. I shrugged. He was right. But somebody had to stop Atropos, and I'd been elected. I almost said selected. Blah. Ruining Puppeteer was more important than staying alive. And if Revenant worked properly, even dying wouldn't take me out of the game. Of course, I wouldn't be around to gloat, and that took some of the savor out of things. But Melchior knew all that already. If you've got a better idea, Mel, I haven't heard it yet. Sorry, boss. Just nervous, I guess. He looked around. Why on earth did Atropos put a backbone hookup to Atropos.web out here in the middle of nowhere like this? No choice. Believe it or not, there's a big nexus here. That's crazy, said Nell. Nobody lives here. There's no good reason for people to put in a junction. People didn't. We're heading for what used to be a major ley line node with a direct server connection to Atropos.web. Since her new fast routers are all fiber optic only, the ley link isn't used much anymore, but it's still connected as a backup. Oh, goody, said the web goblin. In addition to squatting in a snowbank and freezing to death, we'll be using antiquated equipment to hack the most sophisticated and heavily guarded hub in existence. You know, leyline hookups give me a headache. It won't be that bad. The Nexus is cross-linked to a fiber bundle in the cell net. That's part of why I picked it. The LayNet was never fully integrated with the newer system, so security is a little more ragged at connection points like this. Better still, the antennas are mounted on a fire tower, and there's a cabin for the rangers, so we'll be able to get out of the weather. Somehow, the idea of sitting in a tiny, unheated shack doesn't improve my mood much. I love Milkwire. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to think. Okay, I'll read a little bit further, but not too much further, because again, my phone's a piece of fucking shit with a shit memory. And the more memory space I need to make up, the longer it takes and the more it kills my battery. So anyway. Just then we arrived at the base of the tower in question, a tall wooden framework with cell antennas identifiable by their characteristic rod shapes mounted to the supporting posts. At the base stood a concrete hut, painted green to blend in with the surrounding conifers. Those are trees. Conifers are pine-shaped trees. Yeah, pine evergreens. A small log cabin was just visible a short way off through the trees. Mel, why don't you get a fire going in the cabin while I look at the communication shack? You feeling all right, boss? I get to do the quiet, warm indoor job while you freeze in the snow? Before I could respond, he headed for the cabin. Sounds like a lovely idea. I considered chucking a snowball at him, but thought better of it. Instead, I skied over to the hut and checked it out. The lock was a 4-pin Schlage, Schlage. It's a brand of lock. But it yielded quickly to a spell-augmented pick. Inside it was as cold as the great outdoors and as black as the eyes of Cerberus. God, I love Cerberus. Cerberus is the best Greek myth, okay? Hades literally named his dog Spot. It's great. Anyways, a quick flick of the light switch solved the latter problem. The room contained the switch box and monitoring system for the cell antennas and a trap door through which I accessed the fiber optic conduit and junction. Pulling a small ball of silken cord from my fanny pack. He's wearing a fanny pack, yay. From my fanny pack, I tied one end of the cord around the conduit and whistled a short binding spell. My eye. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause for a second and get another video open. 3, 2, 1. I'm back. The cord's knotted end liquefied and flowed through the surface of the conduit. Assuming I hadn't transposed a couple of ones and zeros, the strands of the knot would attach themselves to the various strands of fiber, giving me a hard line to the node. The quality of the link might have been a little cleaner if I'd done an actual optical connection, but that would have required serious tools. Also, since I wanted to use the lay part of the node as my main hacking channel anyways, it was probably better to use old-style symbolic magic for my entry point. Once I'd unspooled a couple yards of cord, I closed the trapdoor. That was another advantage to using silk. It doesn't matter if it kinked. Then I headed for the cabin, playing out the line as I went. The fire Milkwire had started was beginning to cut the chill in the single open room. About 15 feet on the side, it had 2 sets of bunk beds and a primitive kitchen and a small fireplace. In the middle of the room was a small table. I removed my mask and gloves and tossed them onto it. Mel, climb up here, would you? No thanks, he said from his perch by the hearth. I like it by the fire. It wasn't a suggestion. I want to get the ley link established. If you insist, my lord and master. He rose from his seat on the rough stones and joined me. I reeled out another 15 feet of silk and cut it off. Then I stuck the loose end into a fiber optic connector and crashed it shut with my Leatherman. Hey, Mel, why don't you shift to laptop? Because you're planning on sticking an icy cold connector into one of my toasty little ports, and I hate that. Not half as much as you'll hate it where I'll put it if you don't shift. He stuck his barbed tongue out from between sharply pointed teeth and waggled it from side to side. Melkwire, laptop, execute. He managed to flip me a rude gesture before his flesh started to flow and twist. Then the goblin was gone, slumping into the streamlined rectangle of my laptop, lid firmly closed in a subtle but pointed reminder that he disapproved of the current situation. When I flipped the top, the blue goblin logo to the on the left of the screen opened its eyes and glared. I was pretty sure that wasn't in his original programming. When I plugged the connector in and the little eyes crossed, I knew someone was exceeding his design specs again, and I smiled. The programmer side of my personality hated when things didn't work the way they were supposed to and itched to do some debugging. But as a sorcerer, I took real pride in creating a familiar who was obviously so much more than a mere automaton. Alright, so we're actually going to stop there, because again, my memory and everything like that on my phone is shit. We've got... Okay, so this is going to be a 2-part chapter. We just read through, what, 4 pages? Yeah, we read through more pages. The next one's going to be shorter and everything like that. But yeah. No, so... God, I'm sorry. Anyways. We're, getting in some more magic shit. Some magic and lots of connectivity and ley lines. I love ley lines. And a whole bunch of magical... There's probably going to be a lot more freaking weird computer jargon coming up anyways. But yeah, no. So, can't wait to see what's happening. What the Revenant program is going to be. This dead man switch. He keeps emphasizing that Melkwire is going above and beyond his duties, so let's see how that works out with this ley line and everything as well. So, and of course, they're out alone in a cabin in the middle of the woods and nobody knows they're there. But hey, at least none of them are blonde or bimbo or having sex. Or, as sad as I'm to say, a black guy, because any kind of horror movie with any kind of black person in it, he's usually the first to die, unfortunately. Or she. Mostly it's men. But yeah, no, he's in the horror movie scape right now. But yeah. So, I'm going to spin on out. I look forward to seeing you guys next time for part 2 of chapter 8. You guys know how YouTube works. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, dislike, thumbs down, thumbs up, whatever the fuck y'all feel like. But yeah, no, I will see you guys next time. So remember, you are all my sunshines. Alright? Bye.